Hey guys, Bites Bump here, bringing you this two-hander Frost Obliteration Mythic Plus video. This will both be a little bit of a chat about the current state of Frost in the War Within pre-patch, in conjunction with some rotation advice, and then also some commentary on this run itself. It's just a plus 13 Ruby Life Pool, just essentially starting up the pre-patch and getting into Mythic Plus. So that's the reason why it isn't very much higher. First of all, what's the vibe? How does it feel? Well, I think this is a distinct upgrade for the Frost in general compared to previous iterations, right? The rotation feels better to play. I love Glacial Advance coming off your killer machines. It's just really satisfying. The fact that Definitely K also lasts for much longer is great. Having longer pillar windows is great. Having ice capping a flat cooldown reduction is great. There's so much stuff which is just like, this is just nice to have. In terms of power, we're also blasting pretty hard. Obviously, I haven't tried that much. I know, like for instance, hunters are doing a lot of damage, but the keys I've been doing, I've easily been topping the meters. As I said, not very high keys, so there's a risk that the people playing it are not properly geared or haven't played that much. That's the kind of vibe we're looking at here as well. But 800k overall isn't out of the question and is quite easily attainable. I'm sure in high keys you can go up to over 1 million without any problem there. Now, rotation wise, it feels pretty similar to old two-hander Obliteration. There aren't that many things that are different. You're still going to rely quite heavily on your Definite K windows, but you now get a lot more of your damage coming from outside sources. So we have things like Icy Death Torrent. That's a new talent that makes your auto attack crits sometimes deal AoE damage in front of you. That deals a good chunk of your damage now, which is great. You have obviously that your killing machines, you have the Glacial Advance coming out of them, which is also a solid improvement. And they are not reliant on actually standing in Definite K, right? So you always get those without your Definite K reliancy. And then, as I said before, Definite K now lasts for 4 seconds after finishes. So I don't think in the keys I've done, I've never actually had a situation, well, I maybe had it like once, where I had to reuse Definite K. You can always just run out and then come back in, and that's kind of it. I think that our, like as always, Frost, the AoE build is really close to our best single target build. So we have this really good thing where we do great AoE, but we also do really solid single target. So Unholy, that isn't completely the case. We often have to sacrifice quite a lot of single target to get good AoE. For Frost, that is not the case. And you can pretty much, just keep blasting regardless. You can see at this point, I'm at 1.4 million overall. I think I'm going to finish this run at around 800k. It is, however, not the cleanest one. We didn't deal with the affix properly, unfortunately. Frosty case, we can heal them with Death Call, but that's not the best way of dealing with it. So, that's too bad. Now, you might ask, so two-handed Frost, is that better than dual wield? Currently, I think they are pretty neck and neck, right? I'm going to release another video about dual wield. I have done some keys with dual wield, so that's definitely there. And you deal similar kind of damage. It's also a bit different to play. You get more procs. You get damage coming from other sources, like Frost Strike now ends up being your Renew Power AoE spender. So there's that. But I think they are in the end really quite similar. Obviously, two-hander now has legendary, which I realized I haven't used like at all in this run, but that's because I'd messed up my weak auras, so my usual kind of cue to make me remember to use legendary wasn't there. So I'll blame that. Anyway, let's talk about the rotation. So what's the goal? How do you deal damage as a two-hander Frost DK class? How do you optimize it, and so on? Well, it's primarily due to your Pillar Frost windows, of course. When you activate Pillar Frost, what happens is that you have lots of abilities that will generate the killing machines for you. So we have Glacial Advance, we have Frost Strike, we have Howling Blast, and we have Soul Reaper. When you press those during your Pillar Frost, you will generate killing machines, and then those killing machines is what actually deals the big chunk of damage. You also combine this with your Deafening K. So Deafening K with cleaving strikes makes your Obliterate cleave to up to 2 targets. So 3 targets total. So the general idea is to pop your Pillar of Frost. You want to generate as many killing machine procs as possible, and then you want to consume those killing machine procs while standing in your Deafening K. That is the whole basis of this, is how the Frost Death Knight does its big AoE. We also have other things, like we have Glacial Advance. That's what we spend our runic power on AoE, deals AoE damage. We also have a proc called Rhyme that comes off your Obliterates. It makes your Howling Blast deal a ton more damage and a good chunk of AoE damage as well. And then finally we have Remorseless Winter, which is a 20-second cooldown that you just press all the time, and it deals some proper AoE damage. That's mostly it. But there's a couple of important bits we need to cover when it comes to actually executing that properly. So your Pillar Frost window. So how does that actually work? When do you press your stuff? When do you press your Deafening K? You know, how does that all work together? Well, first of all, when you enter your Pillar window, you actually want to use a macro. The thing is, the Pillar is off the GCD, so you want to press that and then immediately generate a killing machine proc with one of your generators, right? Let's see. I think I'm sorting out my weak auras there. Anyway, this works in a way that you want to have several Pillar Frost macros. You can see you have the 3 here, or 4 actually, depending on what you want to generate your killing machine with when you press Pillar. So I have one for generating with a Howling Blast, I have one for Frost Strike, I have one for Glacial Advance, I have one for Obliterate if I already have a killing machine proc, a single target, and I should have one for Soul Reaper, but I don't because I'm a bit lazy. Anyway, what happens is that you wait for a free GCD and then you press your macro, and that will then send Pillar and then instantly also use your generating. You can see there, I did that there. Also instantly use whatever generates the killing machine proc, right? And that means that you will get as many GCDs as possible in your Pillar window, which means eventually, there we go, healing some afflicted there. Eventually, you will actually gain quite a lot of damage of it, because you might actually get one more GCD in your Pillar window compared to if you didn't use the macro, right? That's why we use the macros, why they're important. And you know, if you don't use them, you can do like tapping quickly with your fingers, but it might lose you out on a couple % of DPS due to that, you know, sometimes not getting that extra GCD in the Pillar, right? That's how it works. Now, once you've done this, right, in your Pillar window, you generate a killing machine. You might already be at 2. In that the case, you know, pop you on your Deafening K. If you're not, generate another one. You want to go to 2 killing machines and then Deafening K, because that means you start out your Deafening K window with as many procs as possible, which would mean that you will spend as many procs as possible during your Deafening K. That's kind of the way we do it. So, Pillar macro, generate 2 killing machine procs. You can see it here. I go out, I do my macro, I get 2 immediately, and then I pop Deafening K. Right, that's how it works. And when we're in your Pillar, you want to consume killing machine if you have it. So whenever you have killing machine, do press your Obliterate. If you don't have killing machine, you're either going to use Glacial Advance or Howling Blast when you got a Rhyme proc. Generally, you'll prioritize using the Rhyme proc. If you don't have a Rhyme proc, you use Glacial Advance. There are a couple of special scenarios where that isn't true. For instance, when you're starting out a pool, you have 2 buffs you want to start stacking up, which is Icy Talons and Elite Frenzy, and they stack up off your Glacial Advance. They actually work off your Obliterate as well, due to Arctic Assault, doing the one that fires the Glacial Advance automatically. Anyway, that means that at the start of a pool, you actually want to prioritize this in Glacial Advance over your Howling Blast, but it's only those 2 competing against each other. Your Obliterates with killing machines is a whole different thing, and they should always be prioritized, right? And then that's kind of your AoE rotation. So you're just going to keep weaving, hitting those Obliterates when you have your killing machines, and when you don't have killing machine, you can generate a new one with Glacial Advance or Howling Blast with Rhyme. Right. Couple of things to note before you actually enter into your Pillar window. You want to use GCDs that you don't want to use in your Pillar window, like Abomination Limb, use that before your Pillar. Remorseless Winter, use that before your Pillar. If Remorse Winter comes up within your pillar, you can press it. It deals a lot of damage, but only if you actually get some value. It's like towards the end of a pack, you don't want to press Remorse Winter because it won't actually gain sufficient value there. Let's just skip ahead there. There we go. All right, finally, we have Power Rune Weapon. Just save that for your pillar windows. It won't align exactly because pillar is 45 seconds and the Power Rune Weapon is 2 minutes. So you will actually have to hold that for, I believe it's 15 seconds. But that's fine. Just hold it for your next pillar window and then use it with that pillar window. You can see here we get the affix going off quite regularly. So I think I could have probably gotten a much more DPS if we played that properly. So this is just this is like literally the first key I did with two-hander Obliteration. So bear with me. Anyway, final thing we need to talk about is Frostwind's Fury. It's a really big AoE cooldown. We want to time that with your pillar windows. But like essentially, you don't want to use it when you could have used a cleaving obliterate. I feel like it works out this way. In a pillar window, when you want to use Frostwind's Fury, it's good to wait towards the end. Because if you get a long pillar, you can get up to 18 seconds. Definitely K would actually not overlap the entirety of it. So then you can have like a GCD towards the end where you don't have Definitely K. So using your killing machines isn't as highly valued. We can use Frostwind's Fury instead. Alternatively, another way you could do it is just look at your Fallen Crusader procs. I'm actually not tracking it here, but during your pillar, if you have Fallen Crusader proc, just send your Frostwind's with that to get the most damage. But ideally, as I said, do it towards the end when you're not cleaving with your obliterates anyway. Right. So I think I covered all the little bits of the rotation there. There's a bug, I believe, with Glacial Advance. It's not a hasted GCD for some reason. I'm not sure what happened there. But essentially, when you press Glacial Advance, you get a really slow GCD. It doesn't scale with haste. And that's a bit of a pain. So I hope they fix that soon. You can probably notice, it's hard to tell, I think, but whenever I press Glacial Advance, I just regenerate my GCD much slower. But yeah, Blizzard, if you're watching this, please fix that. It's a bit annoying. And obviously it's a DPS decrease because haste becomes less valuable, right? All right, let's take a look at this pack. So I have Remorse Wood coming up. So I use that, enter my pillar, pop down my Definitely K because I have 2 stacks. And then I just keep on generating, consuming my killing machines. I send out my Frostwind a bit early because things were dying. So ideally I want to get full value for that. Unfortunately, get the afflicted, so everything's moving quite slowly. But it's fine again. We are dealing with this without problem. You know, I can't say this was the best group I've ever run with, but you know, that happens. Can Warlocks do deal with the afflicted affix? I'm not sure. But I think they have a D-spell that they could use, but you know. Who knows? I don't play Warlock. I just know that we can't deal with it, so that's it. Alright, next pillar window. Double killer machine, pop down Definitely K, and then go into cleaving. This is one instance where you can see actually I get great value. Oh, actually, I did reuse my Definitely K. I could have just run out and then come back in and kept obliterating because I did have the buff still. Let's see if we can grip that guy. Yep. We got another afflicted. It's a bit of a, yeah, you know how it is. You played keys before, right? It's not always smooth sailing. It's not always, you know, people doing the highest key ever. Everything is just perfectly coordinated. So we just have to deal with it in the best way possible. Right. Single target rotation, like this boss. What's different? Well, it's just that we use Frost Strike instead of Glacial Advance. That's it. You can, towards the very start of a pool, actually use Glacial Advance instead of Frost Strike. And that's primarily to stack up your buff quicker. Oh, I remember using my legendary rare. Nice, nice. So here, I could have actually used Glacial Advance instead. But this does have some cleaves, so I'll be able to leverage my Definitely K windows here. Frost is actually really good for this fight because we deal a ton of cleave damage on 2 targets. Like, our damage is like the most competitive at 3 targets when we get full value from our Definitely K cleave. but 2 targets as well, which is really, really good. The unfortunate bit is that the ads, they don't spawn on a 45-second timer. They're a bit quicker, which means that we actually won't have our pillar window up for every one of them, which is a bit too bad, but it's what it is. We just have to deal with it the best we can. I still use my, my Frosted Fury there to get some good cleave damage. Right. This wasn't the cleanest one either. You can see we get an afflicted. Oh, it didn't go off, actually. But we get a double kill there on the DPS. Yeah. The meteors, obviously, they explode if they impact any tree or any part of the environment. You can see now I've completely desynced my pillar. I think they come at like 35-40 second intervals, which is obviously like the worst for us, but not much we can do about it. We just have to, we have enough damage anyway, so it's not too bad. Right. We can now use Soul Reaper. That comes into play in the single target rotation as well. However, it's quite restrictive when we actually use it. So if the target's below 35% health and we have like sufficient runes for it, we can use it. However, things like Killing Machine procs are still tech priority. So it's not very often that we actually have time to use it, but when we do, you can press it. For instance, here, I should press Soul Reaper, but I think I forgot about it, That's definitely a Soul Reaper opportunity, because I had like full runes. There wouldn't have been an issue of starving if I used it, so that's kind of it. Alright, get into a bit of a pickle here. We got our boulder there, have to dodge that. And then we got fire on the ground. But, we manage. I probably should just kill the boss there instead of walking over and getting damage from the ground effect. But, it's what it is. Right, just the last bit of the dungeon. I thought I ended up at 800k, but I might have misremembered here, because I'm at 650 now, and I'm not sure if we're going to do that big of a damage towards the end. I'm not sure. We'll see. We'll see. It might just be me misremembering, but I remember I looked at my dual wield and I looked at my two-hander runs, and they were quite similar in terms of overall damage. So, oh well. You can definitely do more damage, right? Just the fact that our afflicted going off like extremely often means that this is just a bit of a terrible situation. By the way, for trinkets, I'm running double passive. I think you can also opt to run ashes. It's really good because you can time that every empowering weapon to get a really powerful burst window. So that's definitely an option. But yeah, I should give that a go. It means that every 2 minutes 15 seconds you're gonna get a big burst window with your ashes and pillar and a power weapon, and that might actually be a lot better. Who knows? I must say that fact that our pillar is 45 seconds always is so great for your frostworms, because they will always time them nicely, right? They will always come up at the right spot. And, I'm very much a fan of that. Previously, if you had like bloodlust and things, your pillars would be too quick. And that would feel awful, because then you end up being like, oh, well, my frostworm is in 20 seconds, but I'm using my pillar now. That will never happen. In this scenario, the only thing that will eventually happen is that your frostworm might be delayed a little bit, but that's fine. You can always hold it for a couple of seconds. And I definitely think I've lied here about my overall damage, but oh well. I might just be remembering my other, when I did do dual wield, because I'm quite sure I did do 800k in that scenario. So helping out with afflicted, gotta help the team. To be fair though, I'm doing like 100 million, so it's a big chunk of my overall. So I might actually be boosting it a little bit, but yeah, this won't be 800 overall. But I'm still happy about it. Still solid. Also, the thumbnails are going to look pretty good, because I'm going to be so much higher than the other two. You know, that's not going to be too bad. Anyway, we're just going to deal with the final pack and then move on to the boss. I think you'll notice I died during the boss, but I think the tank does something weird because I think the boss just aggroes me for some reason. And I think it might be the tank that did something, I don't know. If you know, you can leave a comment down below and tell me why I died there. Another thing, you can see that I've run the pack. I use Glacial Advance. That's to keep up my my rune power buffs. So Icy Talons and Unleashed Frenzy. So, you know, you have extra range there, Glacial Advance to hit them. And that maintains 3 stacks, which is a pretty solid start. You can see here, Deafen K finishes, and then I use my Frostworm. So yeah, that's like the ideal scenario for me, because I don't lose value from not cleaving, and I still get the pillar value. All right, this guy's dropping quite quickly. We nearly actually wiped this guy. I think it was pretty close with the final shield, but we managed, so that's good. But yeah, definitely not 800k. I'm not sure where I got that from. I need to have a look at my details and see if I... maybe I initially thought I was going to do a video on another run. That could have been it. Because maybe I did 2 as of Vault runs, actually. I don't know. I don't remember. This is good enough, right? You guys are happy, aren't you? Alright, final boss. I said I'm going to die here quite quickly. Not my fault, I think. But what we do want to do here is leverage Deafen K as much as possible. So, ideally, when the boss lands... Oh, yeah, here we go. Oh, I see. So what happened was that the tank pulled the boss back really far, and therefore didn't hit it at all towards start. So therefore I easily pulled aggro. So if I knew if I knew the tank would have done that, I would have definitely dealt with this differently. But it's what it is, right? When the bosses are down, we definitely want to focus down the big dragon. The whole idea of this fight is just to kill that guy as quickly as possible. Well, ideally, you want to both go to 50% at the exact same time, and then you nuke down the dragon. That's the general idea. But this isn't a very high key, so we're just going to do this really quickly. Ooh. I'm going to get some cleave in. Unfortunately, they're going to jump away quite quickly. There we go. I did mess that up, but, pop down definitely can continue my cleave. The cleave window is so long now that you have ages of time. And it's not like previously where you had to run out for 2 seconds and that was like a majority of your cleave window. Now it's not nearly as bad. Because you have like, it's going to go to 18 seconds, right? Which is a long time. Alright, I will have the damage breakdown up here. Probably for a while now. And I would say, as before, good vibes with 200 Obliteration. I like it. Hope to fix the Glacial Advance box soon, so that doesn't feel as bad to play with. And yeah, I'm very excited for the War Within, honestly. Frost has received lots of good changes. I'm very happy. If you watch me have the podcast on Max Stream, I gave it an A, I think. Because honestly, I think it's a very fun spec to play now. Very fast-paced, proc-based, that kind of vibe. Anyway, upvote, downvote, consider subscribing, and see you guys in the next video. Thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye.